Yeah, that's fine. Sorry, close the doors.
So yeah, I guess you speak and then we'll ask.
I think they're testing it in the TV.
Too. Yes.
Okay, can you? Let me see.
Do you have the link? I can send you the link, Shobhit.
No, I have. Can you see?
Testing, 1, 2, 3. Testing, 1, 2, 3. Testing, 1, 2, 3. Testing, 1, 2, 3. Testing, 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
It's
you're
fine.
good.
It's fine.
Okay.
Cool. So we can just leave it at that and give it tomorrow.
So this is the switch. This is already on.
Yeah.
And it's like there.
It's like that. Okay, you set it up, right? I didn't go there.
No, it's nice.
It's set up. Okay. Thanks so much.
Yeah, sure. All right. So it works.
So tomorrow, feel free to call me, and then like we spoke about, we don't have to do this. So in just the sound thing, it should just be set to default, and then the camera, it should be the EOS utility.
So is today the day you sing the Arati song or tomorrow?
Today, but he said
Today.
he doesn't want us to worry about using, is it on mute? Oh.
you have by any chance an asana?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, but it's for, not for the seating, it's for the puja portion. Okay. Yes. Very good.
Can you turn the fan on for circulation?
I think most of you know the Advaita. We offer 5 items. First, we offer fire, light. Then we offer water. Then we offer, we wave a cloth. Actually, we're offering the traditional 5 elements. And the cloth represents space. And then we offer a flower, which represents earth element. And then we offer finally the fan, which represents air. The idea is that the way we interact with this world is basically through 5 different ways, with our eyes, our nose, our tongue, our hearing, and our skin. So each of these elements represents one way of our interacting with this world. So fire is, we see this world through our eyes. Now that's represented by the element of fire, of light. And then water is the sense of taste. That is one way we interact with this world, through tasting, and that's represented by the element of water. Likewise, the space is our hearing, through space. We hear through space. And smelling is the element of earth, and the flower is a perfect example of that also. As a fragrant flower, represents earth. And finally, air, the skin, as we touch, we feel that wind on our skin, so that way. And of course, the order, it might be something like, first we want to see the Lord, and then we offer some water for washing his feet, and then we want to dry his feet with the cloth, and then we offer a flower. Finally, in summer, we'll fan him a lot. In winter, we should fan it a little gently. So that's the idea. The idea is that at the end of the day, the sun has set. Now the day is coming to a close. We offer the Lord's creation back to him. So we're offering all these elements, and they're his elements, as it were. They're just manifestations of the divine. We're offering them back to the divine. And feeling the all-pervading divinity all around us as we offer. Now, we sing this beautiful song, Karnana Bhavabandhana. This was composed by Swami Vivekananda about Sri Ramakrishna, and we get a lot of wonderful insights into who is Sri Ramakrishna. How did Swami Vivekananda look on him? Because he doesn't talk about him much in his published books and talks and lectures, but in these songs, in these hymns, profound hymns of devotion, of love. We call them our evening prayers, but this first one, there's not really a prayer in the sense of give me this, give me that. The only one line in the whole prayer that we're asking for something is give us love for your lotus feet. Deha pade anurag. Give us intense attraction for your feet. So that's what we do while we sing, and we're going to try to sing with without the harmonium, because I'm going to be waving the lights, and we should try to finish all the singing by the time the arati is finished. So it should take about 10 minutes. So please join me in the singing. We should all sing together. This is meant to be sung together. Sarvamangalamangalyam varenyam varadam shivam Narayanam namaskritya sarvamangalamangalyam. Om Vishnu, Om Vishnu, Om Vishnu. Om Tad Vishnu Paramam Param Sada Pashyanti Suraya Diviva Chakshuradatam. Om Pavitra Pavitro Va Sarvavasthamito Viva Yasmare Pundari Kasham Sabhahyam Chanchadashuti.
Bhavamukha
Wait, what about the?
There's a plate, round plate.
I'll get the round plate.
Get round plate.
Yes, I'll get it.
Hold it,
Yeah.
hold it.
So now we'll sing Om Hring Ritam.
Yes. Is it on? Is it on? Check. It's on.
Check, check. Okay, so this is this. Goodness gracious, it's a little noisy, isn't it?
Raise it.
Hello, check, check. Okay, though you can probably hear me without it even, but okay, all right, we're going to do it.
Use some introduction.
I'm breaking the chair.
Yeah, just 1, 2, 3 minutes.
Okay, go ahead.
Welcome, Vedanta family. And we're also joined by 2 guests, that is Swapna and Deepak from Vedanta Society of Greater Houston. And Maharaj is here because he came about 4, 5, 6, 7 years ago.
2017.
Yes. So after a very long time, Maharaj is here. And by the way, he's posted to Houston Center.
No,
I
visiting.
don't know.
Visiting Houston
Yes,
Center.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know it's temporary or permanent.
Yeah, temporary.
Temporary. So I thought if it's permanent, we can frequently visit this center. But we are fortunate he agreed for our invitation. He came here. And those of you who have not met him before, just a background, a small background. Maharaj joined the Sri Ramakrishna order in 1997. And he served in India between 2002 and 2008. So many years, probably Maharaj knows India more than any of us. And after that, since 2013, Maharaj joined the Vedanta Society of Southern California. And he had been there, and I was thrilled on 2 occasions and moved on 1 occasion. The thrilling came because Maharaj came here last time. He gave a talk on near-death experience. That is thrilling. For the first time, I heard how the self is so vast, and Maharaj described everything. But it's very rare to hear such talks. That's where my thrilling has taken place. Moving, you saw Maharaj very melodious voice in the bhajan, and I heard him through YouTube channel, the Vedanta Society of Southern California. He had Ram Nam Kirtan, Sankirtan, so melodious. It's moving, and my eyes were just moist hearing it. You are going to hear that tomorrow. Ram Nam Sankirtan, so much, so sweet to hear that. And with that, I will hand over to Maharaj for his talk on Divine Mother Calling.
Thank you, Anandji, for a generous introduction. I am amazed to be here because I was here for the opening ceremonies in 2012, just 1 week before our revered Swami, Swahanandaji, left his body. And of course, it looked very different, but I had the privilege to perform the worship service then. And probably some of you at least were there at that time. And so this memory of that event is inspiring and very touching. And that was his final offering to Sri Ramakrishna, because and he knew it. He was going. After that, he left the body on just not even a week later. So it's a kind of a somewhat bittersweet memory, but a very sweet memory. And to see how see someone who's totally dedicated to spiritual life and to spreading spiritual life, knowing that the message of Vedanta is a message of life-giving, strength-giving, and that let it spread. Swami Vivekananda wanted a center in every village in India, and Swami Swahananji had this map on his wall in Hollywood with little pins. He had little push pins pushed into where all the centers were, and one color for the established centers, other for the fledgling centers that he had started. And Austin, when he could put that pin in Austin, at the place in Austin, he felt very satisfied. So he loved to do that. So this was his darling, one of his darling children, as it were, this center. So it's a great privilege and joy to be back here. And I was requested to speak on Mother Kali. I think we just observed the Kali Puja. And who is Mother Kali? This is one of Sri Ramakrishna's great bequests to us. Many, many great bequests he has given to us, including the harmony of religions, a doubt-destroying assurance that God exists, and this approach to God as mother, looking on God not as father, but as mother, as both father and mother. And this is something that was there in many parts of the world in ancient times, and gradually it was crowded out and forgotten. And the idea of a stern and judging patriarchal God seems to have taken hold in many parts of the world. So this idea that you can also approach God as mother, as our own mother. Usually the relation between the child and the mother might be a little closer than between child and father. Mother, usually it's the father who spanks if one is going to spank, though there are exceptions I have heard. But how sweet to approach God as mother. And we see everywhere now an interest in the divine feminine. They call it, even scholarly conferences on divine feminine, all of that. So that's a wonderful. Of course, we have in Vedanta, in Hinduism, that's one of the gifts, is that we can call on the divine, we can think of the divine, approach the divine in whatever form most suits us, most appeals to us. And that also we should choose one form which becomes our main approach. Still, we can love all manifestations of divinity. So with Swami Vivekananda, we can go to the mosque and praise Allah, and we can go to the church and bow down to Jesus, and we can go to the Krishna temple and sing Hare Krishna, and we can go to the Kali temple and sing Jai Ma, Jai Ma. And it doesn't matter, but one of those will be our chosen path, our chosen ideal. So what about Mother Kali? We should have a picture of her. If I think most of you know Mother Kali's image. Most unusual. She is black. She is nude. She is wearing a garland of human heads. She is wearing a girdle of human arms. She is standing on the body of Shiva, and she's sticking out her tongue. And in one, on the one hand, she's saying, "Don't be afraid, my children. And here I'm giving you what you need." At the same time, she's holding a sword, a blood-stained sword, and a severed human head. Whose head is that? What's that all about? So it can be frightening if we don't understand the symbolism, and we don't understand who Mother Kali is. So let me read a little quote from Swami Nikhilananda from his introduction to the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. It's beautiful. "The majesty of her posture can hardly be described. It combines the terror of destruction with the reassurance of motherly tenderness. For she is the cosmic mother, the cosmic power, the totality of the universe, a glorious harmony of the pairs of opposites. She deals out death as she creates and preserves. She has 3 eyes, the third being the symbol of divine wisdom. They strike dismay into the wicked, yet pour out affection for her devotees. So this is Mother Kali, and we see this play of opposites. On the one hand, she's saying, don't be afraid. On the other hand, there's this bloody severed head. And Swami Swaminji used to say, do you want God to protect you? Don't you want a strong mother? You don't want a namby-pamby mother who can't protect you. You want a mother who will protect you, who will kill the demons. So one interpretation is that it's the demons whom she kills. And the demon, that's right. And the demon that, but whose head is that? I think it's our head. It's my own head that she has severed. That means she's killing me? No. It's that ego, that false identification I have with my body, with my personality, that unripe ego that thinks I'm a big shot. That out of her grace, with the sword of grace, she severs that head of ignorance and frees us, grants us liberation, grants us eternal bliss. So that's how I understand her sword and that severed head, is as the sword of wisdom, severing out of grace, severing our ego of ignorance, and granting us infinite bliss. For she is, as Sri Ramakrishna used to call her, Anandamayi, ever blissful, the all blissful mother. So Sri Ramakrishna was utterly and totally devoted to Mother Kali. Though he worshipped all the forms, and we know he attained union with the divine through the different paths, approaching God as Jesus, as Allah, as Krishna, as Shiva, and yet his Ishta Devi, the way he chose to mostly approach God as mother. And what a sweet and personal relationship it was. She was not some kind of idea that he had or some kind of reality somewhere else. She was always a person in the room, right there with him. So it's amazing. So we'll look at some of that. Now, how did that happen? On the one hand, mother is his very own mother, a person in the room, and on the other, she is the power of Brahman, the absolute power which manifests, brings this world into manifestation and sustains it, and again withdraws it, again destroys it. Because this world too, like everything else that had a beginning, will have an end. There's no doubt about it. This world will have an end. We were talking about it this morning, how the sun, being a fusion engine, when the hydrogen runs out, the sun will turn into a red giant and engulf the earth. The earth will no more be. So mother's power manifests and also withdraws and destroys. So let's have a brief look at Sri Ramakrishna's early life. He was born in Kamarpukur, a remote village of Bengal, in 1836. Before electricity, before any modern conveniences. There were no modern conveniences. The only modern thing which reached Kamarpukur was the mails. The British had sent mail to all corners of India. So there was mail. Otherwise, what a simple life it was compared to our life today. Agrarian. It was a village of mostly farmers and a few priests and a few tradespeople, perhaps. And in Sri Ramakrishna's home, who was worshipped? Rama, Raghuvir, the hero of the Raghu's clan. And also other deities were on the shrine. Mother Sitala and Shiva was there. But he worshipped Rama. His family was a worshipper they were all Rama worshippers. So how did he come to be a devotee of Mother Kali? This is an interesting question. Kali was not a common deity in homes, though surely the annual Kali puja would have been celebrated in the village, or in some nearby village, but we don't read about it. And yet Sri Ramakrishna, of course, was strongly attracted to spiritual life from the very beginning. He was only 6 years old when he had his first ecstasy, his first experience of unity consciousness, we can call it, when he saw
you know the story, most of you probably. He was walking in the rice fields, and there was a dark cloud that came over, a dark cloud heavy laden with rain. And then a flock of white cranes flew across the sky in front of that dark cloud. And the beauty so engaged his mind. He became so immersed in that beauty, so merged in that beauty, that he lost all external consciousness of this world, and his mind merged in what? His mind fell away and it merged in consciousness, in infinite consciousness. So that was his at the age of 6. So this would be become a hallmark of Sri Ramakrishna's life, this state of absorption in the divine. And not only did he have to struggle to keep his mind down from that state, but he also would grant that experience to his disciples and devotees. And we like to say, he can grant it to us also. So a second experience, there was a worship of Shiva, nighttime worship of Shiva, Shivaratri. And to keep awake, the villagers would put on a play. And of course, Shiva would be one of the people enacted in the play was Lord Shiva himself. So the actor who was to play that part, he fell sick. So they asked Sri Ramakrishna, they thought he's a boy, but he's a good actor. He used to put on plays with his friends in the mango orchard. So they asked him, and after some hesitation, he agreed. And when they dressed him up as Lord Shiva, he became intoxicated with the idea of Shiva. When he came out on the stage, it looked as if Lord Shiva himself were walking there, and the crowd, the assembled villagers, were highly appreciative and amazed. But then what happened? The play couldn't go on. He was so immersed in the thought of Shiva that he lost all consciousness of the play, of the other actors, of the fact that there's something supposed to happen here. Just went into an ecstatic mood, and the play had to stop. So that was his experience. Then he started practicing meditation at a young age, going to, of all places, the place where everyone else would be afraid to go, the cremation ground. Fearless, as a young lad of maybe 10, 11, 12, 13, he would go to the cremation ground and meditate there. So his brother took him to Calcutta at the age of 16, trying to give him a little education, trying to get him some kind of means of livelihood, because he was extremely intelligent, and yet was not interested in a bread-winning education, was not interested in making a career for himself. He was interested in God. So a critical juncture, May 31st, 1855. Sri Ramakrishna was 19. That was the day the Kali temple at Dakshineshwar was consecrated. The Kali temple compound itself is a remarkable expression of the harmony of religions, because there is the Divine Mother worshipped there. Also, Radha Krishna is worshipped there. So these two main sects of Bengal, the Shaktas and the Vaishnavas, who are traditionally at odds with one another, they're both represented in this temple complex, as well as Shiva. There are the 12 small temples to Lord Shiva, God as Shiva. So it's a wonderful expression of harmony, conceived in the mind of its founder, the Rani Rashmani, and inspired by the Divine Mother. She had the direct command of Divine Mother Kali, to whom she was extremely devoted, to build this temple. She had planned a pilgrimage, spending millions of rupees in those days to go on a big pilgrimage with her huge entourage. She was a very wealthy woman. And the night of the pilgrimage was to start, she had a dream that Mother Kali said, "Don't spend the money on the pilgrimage, build me a temple." And so she did. And again, the image of the mother was sculpted by a sculptor who meditated and fasted and prayed a lot before sculpting the image. And then it was put in a box until it would be, now we say, unboxed and consecrated. And but they were waiting for a suitable day, and then the Rani had another dream of mother saying, I'm sweating in here, hurry up, find a suitable date. So the next holy auspicious day was selected. It happened to be the Snan Yatra on May 31st, 1855. And his brother Ram Kumar and Sri Ramakrishna moved to Dakshineshwar. Ram Kumar became the priest of Mother Kali. And Sri Ramakrishna wasn't interested. He was not interested at first. But in the course of events, he became the pujari, the worshipper of Mother Kali, the person who conducts the worship ritual in the temple called the pujari. And he received initiation in the Mother Kali mantra. The tradition is that if we are going to worship a particular aspect of the divine in Hinduism, we should have received spiritual initiation, diksha, which in this case would have been a Kali mantra he would have received from one, Kenaram Bhattacharya. And perhaps, we don't know, perhaps this was what started his whole focus on Mother Kali, was this initiation. Then his brother died, driving home to him this impermanence of the world, of which he was already well aware. His father had died when he was a young boy, but now his brother died. This world is impermanent. He's performing the worship of this most unusual goddess. And this longing awoke in him to know, are you real? Mother, are you real, or is this just a statue I'm worshiping? We might ask the same question ourselves when we go to a temple or we have some holy pictures on our shrine and we think to ourselves, are these just pictures or are you real? So this longing awakened in him. And this is in all of us, I think, at a certain, who have come here, we have tasted that. We have had that question, we have tasted that longing, or we wouldn't be here tonight. This is a pivotal point of awakening. The Christians call it conversion, when something awakens in us and we start to wonder, is this all there is, or is there something more? Is there some power behind this universe? Is there a being of love who the books say that there is, the preachers say that there is, but I want to know for myself. It's not enough for me to read it in a book. I want to know, does God exist? Does this statue represent a reality, or is it just a statue? So this restlessness became constant with him, this constant longing to know, is Mother real? His worship, which the worship ritual, it takes 45 minutes or an hour to do. When he was doing it, it would stretch to 3, 4, 5 hours as he lengthened it, and he would go into moods of deep longing, and he would weep tears, weeping and weeping, wondering, where is my mother? He would sing the songs of the mystic poets of Bengal, like Ram Prasad and Kamalakanta, which express this direct vision of Mother. And then he would say, Mother, Ram Prasad realized you, Kamalakanta realized you. What about me? Is it all just imagination? So his longing reached a breaking point, as it were. And then I'll read what he said about it, recorded in Sri Ramakrishna, the Great Master, by Swami Sarananda. He said afterwards about this first vision of Divine Mother in 1856. He says, I felt as if my heart were being squeezed, being wrung out like a wet towel. Now here it helps to know how people bathe in India. They go into the river and they come out and they dry off with a cloth, and then they rinse that cloth out and they wring it out really tight to get as much water out of it as possible. So that's how he felt, as if his heart were being wrung out like a wet towel. I was overpowered with a great restlessness and a fear that it might not be my lot to realize her in this life. I could not bear the separation from her any longer. Life seemed to be not worth living. Suddenly, my glance fell on the sword that was kept in the mother's temple. I determined to put an end to my life. When I jumped up like a madman and seized it, suddenly the Blessed Mother revealed herself. It was as if the room, doors, temple, and everything else vanished altogether, as if there were nothing anywhere, and what I saw was an infinite, shoreless ocean of light. That ocean was consciousness. As far as the eye could see, the shining billows were madly rushing at me from all sides with a terrific noise to swallow me up. I was panting for breath. I was caught in the rush and collapsed unconscious. What was happening in the outside world, I did not know. But within me, there was a steady flow of undiluted bliss, altogether new. And I had the direct realization of the presence of the Divine Mother. So this is the thrilling first experience of Divine Mother that Sri Ramakrishna had. And we note here that his first experience of Mother was not as a person, but as an infinite ocean of light, an infinite ocean of consciousness and bliss. So we see this play in Sri Ramakrishna's life between the form and the formless, and how the form melts into the formless, and the formless again takes form. So this, of course, was a major turning point in Sri Ramakrishna's life. Mother became absolutely real without a doubt. And for anyone else, this could be like the culmination of a lifetime of spiritual practice, would be this experience. But this was actually the beginning of his spiritual life in earnest, the beginning of his sadhana, his spiritual practice. After this experience, he wanted to make the realization of Mother constant. Not that he saw her once, but now he's not seeing her. He must see her constantly. So he would weep and he would weep and he would rub his face on the ground in agony at being separated from Mother. And then again, he would have the experience of Mother. So this went on for a long time. And people had thought that he had gone mad. So he would be, he was called the madman of Dakshineshwar, that mad Brahmin. So then he would also have vision of Divine Mother with form, as they call her, Vara Bhayakara Chinmayi Murti. Vara means granting boons, and Abhaya, granting fearlessness. Full of consciousness, Chinmayi, full of consciousness. So he went on as the pujari in the temple, but he would do strange things. He saw that the Divine Mother was in the cat. And so the offerings which were meant for the Divine Mother Kali, he offered to the cat. The cat ate it, and everybody was scandalized. But the proprietors of the temple had a understanding of Sri Ramakrishna. He somehow understood that Sri Ramakrishna was not ordinary. He was, whatever he was doing, he protected him and said he's not to be disturbed, whatever he does. So his conducting of the worship came to an end when he realized Divine Mother in everything. So let me read a little more from Sri Ramakrishna. The Divine Mother revealed to me in the Kali temple that it was she who had become everything. She showed me that everything was full of consciousness. The image was consciousness. The altar was consciousness. The water vessels were consciousness. The door sill was consciousness. The marble floor was consciousness. All was consciousness. I found everything inside the room soaked, as it were, in bliss, the bliss of God. I saw a wicked man in front of the Kali temple, but in him also I saw the power of the Divine Mother vibrating. That was why I fed a cat with the food that was to be offered to the Divine Mother. I clearly perceived that all this was the Divine Mother, even the cat. And then he relates, like a madman, I began to shower flowers in all directions. Whatever I saw, I worshipped. So he was there in the temple with the trays of flowers, and no longer was Mother restricted only to a presence in the physical image of the mother. She was shining through everything, including even the floor, the door sill, the watering vessels, and a wicked person walking outside. He saw mother equally everywhere. Later, he would give the example of the practice of viveka, of discernment, where we reject everything as not being divine, not being Brahman, and we say, not this, not this. So if someone's climbing the stairs to the roof of a building and saying, this is not the roof, this is not the roof, this is not the roof, and reaching the roof, and finally, now I'm at the roof. But see, what is the roof made of? Brick, slime, and brick dust, same as the stairs. So after realizing the divine, we find that everything which we rejected as being not divine, turns out it's also divine, that everything is divine. So this was the end of his practice of puja. He saw everything as mother. And yet, then came a period of formal spiritual disciplines, formal sadhana, directed by various teachers, including, very important, Bhairavi Brahmani, a woman, nun, a traveling, wandering nun, who adopted him as her disciple and guided him through the formal disciplines of tantra, of worshipping the mother through the formal disciplines. And then, of course, also doing the Vaishnava disciplines and even Sufism and Christianity. And he realized, he communed with the divine through all these paths in various manifestations, yet always coming back to Kali, to Mother. Now, there's a second turning point which came where after these disciplines, a wandering monk dedicated to Advaita Vedanta, non-dualism, came to Dakshineshwar, Totapuri. That's why we're also called Puri, by the way. The monks of the Ramakrishna order are part of the Puri lineage. So our proper name says Swami Swahanandaji. His proper name would be Swami Swahananda Puri. So because Totapuri initiated Sri Ram, saw in him a very fit aspirant for Advaita Vedanta, that he could realize the non-dual experience and attain freedom. So he asked him, would you like to learn about Vedanta? Would you like to learn about Advaita Vedanta? And he said, I don't know, let me go ask my mother. And he thought, he's going to ask his mother. But instead of going to a physical mother, he went to the temple and asked Divine Mother, Mother, he wants to teach me Vedanta. And Mother told him, yes, that's why I've brought him here, for you to learn Vedanta. So he went back and said, yes, all right. So Totapuri was a staunch Vedantist. He didn't believe in the reality of even the forms of the divine. Only Brahman is real, everything else is false. And thou art that. Our true nature is none other than that infinite reality. So he was a staunch Vedantist. So he taught Sri Ramakrishna this Advaita Vedanta after making him a Swami, because the tradition was that only sannyasins can study these teachings. Though he didn't wear the ochre cloth or adopt any of the other, he didn't need to. This is for our protection, not for any other reason and he didn't want his earthly mother to feel concerned that her son has become a monk. So let me read to you again how he described this experience. After initiating me, the naked one, he used to call him the naked one because he used to be completely naked, perhaps wearing just a small loincloth like Ramana Maharshi. You see those pictures, or perhaps even not even that. I'm not sure. But he'd have a blanket at night. He'd lie under a blanket, and under the day also he'd be meditating under the blanket. So after initiating me, the naked one taught me many dikta, conveying the conclusion of the Vedanta, and asked me to make my mind free of function in all respects and merge in the meditation of the self, the Atman. But it so happened with me that when I sat for meditation, I could by no means make my mind go beyond the bounds of name and form and cease functioning. Sounds like all of us have the same problem. But this is a unique problem because he goes on to explain the mind withdrew itself easily from all other things. But as soon as it did so, the intimately familiar form of the universal mother, consisting of the effulgence of pure consciousness, appeared before it, means before my mind. He's talking about his mind as a separate something, appeared before it as living and moving, and made me quite oblivious of the renunciation of names and forms of all descriptions. So, seeing the blissful form of the Divine Mother, he was simply immersed in that bliss, and he couldn't go beyond that. Every time he would see Ma, he would forget all about, oh, I'm supposed to meditate, I'm supposed to make my mind completely free of all modifications. So again and again, Totapuri would instruct him, and again he would try, and it was not. When I listened to the conclusive dicta, it means these are these teachings, Tat Tvamasi, thou, that thou art, Aham Brahmasmi, I, my true nature, is none other than Brahman. These kinds of teachings. This happened over and over again. Almost despairing of the attainment of Nirvikalpa Samadhi, I then opened my eyes and said to the Naked One, no, it cannot be done. I cannot make the mind free from functioning and force it to dive into the self. Then he says, scolding me severely, he's getting a good scolding from Totapuri. The Naked One said very excitedly, what? It can't be done? What utter defiance? Means the disciple is defying the teacher. He then looked about in the hut and finding a broken piece of glass, took it in his hand and forcibly pierced with its needle-like pointed end on my forehead between the eyebrows. So he pierced right here, very sharp, must have been a sharp pain, and said, collect the mind here to this point. With a firm determination, I sat for meditation again. And as soon as the holy form of the Divine Mother appeared now before the mind, as previously, I looked upon knowledge as a sword and cut it mentally in two with that sword of knowledge. There remained then no function in the mind, which transcended quickly the realm of names and forms, making me merge in samadhi. So now the disciple became fully illumined, became merged in Brahman. No mind left to obstruct any experience. This is called Nirvikalpa Samadhi, when there's absolutely no mind, no separate self left, and there's only the infinite one non-dual consciousness. And he remained in that state for 3 days. So what happened when he came back? Totapuri eventually brought the disciple back to the consciousness of the world. Was mother then gone? Was there no more mother? He had cut mother's form in two, after all. It seems rather that he then understood that Kali and Brahman are not two. They are not two. He would say again and again, Brahman and Shakti are not separate. They're abheda, not different from each other. It's simply two aspects of one and the same reality, two different ways of understanding one and the same reality, Brahman and Shakti. Here's one quote from him of that teaching, which if we read the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna carefully, we find this again and again. Kali is none other than Brahman. That which is called Brahman is really Kali. She is the primal energy, the Adya Shakti. When that energy remains inactive, I call it Brahman. And when it creates, preserves, or destroys, I call it Shakti or Kali. Brahman and Kali are not different. They are like fire and its power to burn. If one thinks of fire, one must think of its power to burn. If one recognizes Kali, one must also recognize Brahman. Again, if one recognizes Brahman, one must recognize Kali. Brahman and its power are identical. So this is his teaching later. He has assimilated these two experiences. One, his experience of Divine Mother and his experience in Nirvikalpa Samadhi of infinite non-dual consciousness, and understood that actually they are not separate. But he was so drawn to that state of Nirvikalpa, that complete identification with Brahman, that he had difficulty remaining in the world, in his body. He hadn't yet started his mission, and yet he found it very difficult to bring his mind here to complete his mission. And for a period of 6 months was almost continually in this Nirvikalpa state. And then he received Divine Mother's command, direct command, remain in Bhavamukha. This word is left in Sanskrit or Bengali because you can't really translate it, a word like this, Bhavamukha. So this was the second, but it's Bhavamukha means stay in that, at that place of the threshold between the absolute and the relative, where you see, it's like standing on the threshold of a room and you can see both inside the room and outside the room. You can see that everything is a manifestation of Shakti, and yet you also know that it's one non-dual reality. So he was instructed to remain on the threshold. So this is the second turning point when Sri Ramakrishna is fully mature. He's now becoming fully mature as a spiritual master. Swami Saradananda writes, as he was all along dwelling in Bhavamukha, the whole of the universe always and every moment appeared to him to be composed of nothing but ideas. He felt as if all things, men and women, cows and horses, wood and earth, everything, were rising and merging as different aggregates of ideas in the universal mind. And through those coverings of ideas, the infinite, indivisible ether of existence consciousness was manifesting itself in varying degrees, here less, there more, and in some other places, the veils were so dense that it appeared to be non-existent. So Sri Ramakrishna could say, from his own experience, the Divine Mother has become all this. The Divine Mother has become everything. From his vantage point, it is not just an idea, it's his direct experience. And it's in this state that we know Sri Ramakrishna best, in the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, where he is teaching from this state of Bhavamukha, on the threshold, where he's constantly communing with the Divine Mother, he's talking with her, then he's teaching the disciples, then he's merging completely in the Absolute, but not for long, because he's following the Mother's command not to merge completely, but to stay on this plane, because he has a mission. He would call this state the state of Vijnana, which is a richer knowledge. If jnana is knowledge, then Vijnana is a richer knowledge. He would liken it to, some people have heard of milk, some people have seen milk, and some have drunk milk. One who has merely heard of milk is still ignorant. One who has seen milk has jnana, has knowledge, has direct knowledge of milk. There's no doubt that milk exists because he's seen it. But one who has drunk the milk and been nourished by it is in the state of vijnana. This is a fuller knowledge of milk, the fuller knowledge of the divine. After having the vision of God, one talks to him, one talks to her, as if she were an intimate relative. That is vijnana. So Mother is for him always the intimate relative, and he is always turning to her. So though it's interesting, this play, because on the one hand, Mother is the Absolute, and yet she is also a person. Often he'll talk to her, almost it's humorous. His last visit to Keshav Sen in Calcutta, he's waiting for Keshav, and Keshav, being very sick, took a long time to come out, and he's getting annoyed, and then he goes into ecstasy. Someone starts talking about spiritual things, and he goes into ecstasy. And then looking around as if seeing someone, he says, "Oh, hello, Mother. I see that you too have come. how you are showing off in your Banaras sari. Don't bother me now, please. Sit down and be quiet. He's talking with Divine Mother, telling her, don't bother me now. Sit down and be quiet. I'm going to talk with Keshab shortly. How amazing. And she's wearing a sari, showing off her Banaras sari. They, of course, the image in Dakshineshwar is decorated with very fancy gold embroidered saris made in Banaras. So he's saying how you are showing off in your sari. Don't bother me. So the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna is full of these conversations with Mother, songs to Mother, discussions on Divine Mother. So if Sri Ramakrishna is the star of the show, Mother Kali is the director. She may be just beyond our view, but she is firmly in Sri Ramakrishna's view, firmly. So a lot of prayers to Ma Kali that Sri Ramakrishna uttered. The Gospel is full of them. One of my favorites, really, the one that we often chant together, at least in different groups, is this prayer to the Divine Mother that begins, "O Mother, I throw myself on thy mercy. I take shelter at thy hallowed feet." This is a prayer for devotion. And this is really all his prayers were ultimately prayers for devotion, for love. The prayer that Sri Ramakrishna, this one he only related once, this particular prayer. Ami tomar sharanagata sharanagata. I throw myself on thy mercy. I take shelter at thy hallowed feet. I don't want anything of this world, Mother. All I want is love for you. Don't give me money. Don't give me fame. Don't give me any powers. I just want love. That's the idea behind this prayer. There's another interesting prayer that he relates very often. He says, I prayed to the Divine Mother only for love. I offered flowers at her lotus feet and prayed with folded hands, O Mother, here is thy ignorance and here is thy knowledge. Take them both, Mother, and grant me only pure love for thee. Here is thy holiness and here is thy unholiness. Take them both, Mother. Grant me only pure love for thee. Here is thy virtue and here is thy sin. Take them both. Grant me only pure love for thee. Here is thy good, here is thy evil. Take them all and give me only pure love for thee. Here is thy dharma and here is thy adharma. Take them both and give me only pure love for thee. This, by the way, this prayer has been set to music by Sister Deva Mata, an American nun, disciple of Swami Paramananda, who served mostly at the Ananda Ashrama in La Crescenta, California. And though mindful of the time, I think I like to at least sing one verse for you. It's really beautiful. This forms part of their evening service at the Ananda Ashrama, which was one of the centers of our order, but then due to some play of the Divine Mother, it separated out from the order. But so they sing this at the evening prayer. All blissful Mother, grant to me that I may have pure love for thee. Here sin and merit, take thou these, and grant to me pure love for thee. So it goes on. There's 4 verses. So really touching a way of translating this song into a hymn. So what's remarkable about this prayer? We're offering everything to Mother, including the things that the bad things, the things ordinarily we wouldn't give. Everything. We generally want good and we reject evil. We want holiness and reject unholiness. But here he's rejecting both. He's giving them everything to Mother, and seeks only pure devotion, pure love, Shuddha Bhakti. So as I understand it, the idea here is that mother is beyond the pairs of opposites. In this world, as long as we are in this world of relativity, we have what's called the pairs of opposites. And these are what he mentions here: knowledge and ignorance. They're two sides of one coin. We have to go beyond both. Here is pain and pleasure. We have to go beyond both. Heat and cold, these opposites. Holiness and unholiness. Truth and falsehood. Virtue and sin. Good and evil. Dharma and adharma. Take them both. I want only you. I want only love. So, of course, the one thing he could not give up is truth. He would always say, I gave up everything at the feet of the Divine Mother, but I could not bring myself to give up truth. Because otherwise, how could even that prayer be true if he if he also gave up? He couldn't say, here is thy truth and here is thy falsehood. He could not say that. He held on to truth. And afterwards, he would say, truthfulness is the discipline, the tapasya, the real discipline of this age. That's the... So I'd like to turn to a fascinating conversation that Sri Ramakrishna had with one devotee of Divine Mother, Nanda Bose. He was an aristocratic gentleman in Calcutta, and he had lots of paintings of different forms of Divine Mother on his wall. And Sri Ramakrishna was really impressed and inspired, and at the same time he was a little concerned. He said, you must be very fortunate, because ordinarily to keep these forms of Divine Mother, they should be worshipped. And it's a little bit inauspicious to have all these forms of Divine Mother, these images, and not worship them. They were paintings on his wall. But so the conversation turned to the question of why this creation? Why this world? What's the point? Why this world with all its suffering? Yes, there's joy here, but there's a lot of suffering. Why all this suffering? And all of that. And he says, it's her pleasure. It's her pleasure. And then he sang one of his favorite songs, Shokoli Tomari Icha. Everything is done after thine own sweet will. Thou art in truth self-willed, Redeemer of humankind. Thou workest thine own work. We human beings only call it ours. Thou it is that holdest the elephant in the mire. Thou it is that helpest the lame person scale the loftiest hill. On some thou dost bestow the bliss of Brahmanhood, yet others thou dost hurl into this world below. Thou art the moving force, and I the mere machine. The house am I, and thou the spirit dwelling there. I am the chariot, and thou the charioteer. I move alone, as thou, O Mother, movest me. So how does this make sense? I think only from the state of Bhavamukha can we begin to understand how this song makes sense. Ram Prasad song, he also obviously was a very advanced, realized soul who expressed his experience in this song. And Sri Ramakrishna also would repeat this often. He would often repeat those lines, I speak as Mother makes me speak. I move as Mother makes me move. So for Sri Ramakrishna, there was no separate human will anymore. That finite human will was subsumed into the Divine Mother's all-encompassing will. So there's a very mature understanding. And there is a slight danger here. The danger is if we take this attitude before we have realized the Divine Mother, it can lead to fatalism, can lead to laziness. Oh, it's all Mother's play, so I'm not going to do anything. On the other hand, it can inspire us to reach a deeper level of surrender. That it's Mother's will. Everything is being done by Mother. Even everything I do is actually being done by Mother. That doesn't mean we stop doing. We keep doing. Try to feel that it's Mother who's working through me. Try to step aside and let Mother work through me. Then our life becomes transformed as we struggle to manifest the divine in every aspect of our lives, in every movement of life, as Swami Vivekananda says. our every thought even. So after this, singing this song, Sri Ramakrishna says, the Divine Mother is full of bliss. Coming back to that bliss, full of bliss. Creation, preservation, and destruction are the waves of her sportive pleasure. It's her Leela. Innumerable are the living beings. Only one or two among them obtain liberation, and that makes her happy. And there's that song that of the kites flying, and one or two kites break free, and mother laughs and dances and claps her hands. Ah, they've broken free. And yet she doesn't make it easy. She doesn't make it easy. Why? Why doesn't she make it easy? She is Anandamoyi. She's full of bliss, and this is her blissful play. And yet we're suffering. Why is it so difficult? This is a keynote of his teaching, is the mother is all blissful. She is bliss. And this is her blissful play, this world. He would give this example of a children's game. This is something like hide and seek, in which all the children, except one, are blindfolded. They all have a blindfold put on, and only one, called the granny, is not blindfolded. And the object of the game is to find the granny, the sighted player, and touch her. And once you've touched her, you're freed from the game. So, of course, the last person to touch the granny will become the next granny, generally how it works in these games. And I'm sure there's a version that's played in this country also. I somehow remember some game like that where we were blindfolded and running around and bumping into people and all that. So it must be quite a fun game. And of course, the granny, because she can see, so she can escape to a certain extent. And really, it's up to her when she lets someone touch her. Sri Ramakrishna says, the granny is not pleased if she is touched right at the beginning. She wants the play to go on. So the granny has fun watching everybody running around looking for her. Maybe finally she's cornered by two of them, and then she gets touched, and then they get released, and then gradually there's one left, and finally she'll let that one touch her also. Because Sri Ramakrishna does guarantee us that all will be liberated. All will eventually be liberated. Only some get food at Mother Annapurna's temple in the morning, some at midday, and some have to wait till night. But everybody gets fed. So Anand, our all blissful mother, will surely grant us all liberation. But for now, she wants the play to go on. Why? Nanda Bose says, it's a very good question. It may be her sweet will, but it is death to us. And there's twice that this occurs in the gospel, two separate conversations. Another conversation, the future Swami Turiyananda, Hari, he also asked this question. It may be her it may be her play, but it's our death. We're dying here. And so really this question is asked on all our behalf. And what's Sri Ramakrishna's answer? He answers with a question. But where are you? It is she who has become all this. It is only as long as you do not know her that you say, I. So this is how to understand suffering. If the mother is all blissful, how do we understand suffering? Just to say it is her will is not really very satisfying. We can say that, but it's her will. What kind of a mother wants her children to suffer? It's her play. That's a little bit better. It's simply the play of the Divine Mother, if we can see it as such. But even there, why should the play hurt so much sometimes? Here's his response. Where are you? Who are you? Where are you? It's all mother. So is mother also suffering then? It's also mother who suffers in the suffering, and she laughs in the joyous. This is from the standpoint of Vijnana. Sri Ramakrishna could see that indeed all is she. And then he gives this assurance to Nanda Bose and the others there. All will surely be able to know her. All will be liberated. It may be that some get their meal in the morning, some at noon, and some in the evening, but none will go without food. All, without any exception, will certainly know their true nature. There's a doctrine called Sarvamukti, or universal salvation for all. The Western religions generally have the idea that no, some people will never be liberated, will never attain salvation. They will be damned to hell for eternity. So that we laugh at this as a kind of kindergarten religion, but this guarantee. It's not that we have rebirth again and again and again and again and again for eternity either. No, all will come to know. So Sri Ramakrishna's guarantee. What an amazing assurance. So from one standpoint, even those who are suffering terribly, they also will come to know. They will also come. So it's a temporary state through which we are passing, as long as we don't know Mother. This seems to be a little bit more satisfying. If we feel that Sri Ramakrishna is, that this attitude belies a kind of lack of compassion, that, oh, you're just saying it's Mother's will, where's your compassion for the suffering people? We see, well, how intensely Sri Ramakrishna felt for those who are suffering. When he went to Deoghar with Mathur Babu, and there was a terrible famine going on and terrible hungry people, and he asked Mathur, feed them. You have to feed them, give them some clothing and feed them. And Mathur, a wealthy man, but well, it would be quite costly. We're on pilgrimage. No, better not. Okay, I'm not going any further. I'm stopping right here. And he got down. He sat down on the ground, said, I'm not going anywhere until these people are fed. So he had that kind of compassion. And how he would pray for his disciples and the devotees. Let me read from the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. The Master was weeping and praying to the Mother in a voice choked with emotion for the welfare of the devotees. Mother, may those who come to you have all their desires fulfilled. But please don't make them give up everything at once, Mother. Well, you may do whatever you like in the end. If you keep them in the world, Mother, then please reveal yourself to them now and then. Otherwise, how will they live? How will they be encouraged if they don't see you once in a while? But you may do whatever you like in the end. We see how when he would pray to the Mother for some kind of something in this world, never for himself, but for devotees. People would come to him and ask him. Adhar Sen had a job as a deputy magistrate, and he wanted to get the job of the vice chairman of the municipality, Calcutta municipality. He was already earning 300 rupees a month, which was a huge sum in those days, and he wanted to get the 1,000 rupee post. And so Sri Ramakrishna told the Divine Mother about it. See, Adhar is coming to visit you. He wants this job. But a small-minded fellow, he could be asking you for love, and he's only asking for a job. Well, Mother, you may give him the job if you like. So he would pray like that. Oh, you may do it, even if he was praying sincerely, give the devotees a glimpse of yourself. But of course, you may do what you like in the end, turning it over to Mother, always turning it over to Mother. So the final chapter of Sri Ramakrishna's life, a most bittersweet time. In 1885, he fell ill. He was diagnosed with cancer, and the curtain gradually fell on the play of Sri Ramakrishna's life. It's such, on the one hand, the disciples gathered around him and served him, and he bound them together with his divine love. That supernal love tied those disciples together tremendously, and that nucleus of love gradually formed the Ramakrishna movement, which is going on today. And seeing that love, we also are called to embody that love and love one another. We seekers of the Mother's bliss. So, of course, it was so painful to watch his body wasting away. And he finally left it behind on the night of August 16, 1886. So he was moved to Shampukur, a neighborhood in Calcutta, and then, of course, later to Kashipur. But it was the night of Kali Puja of November 6th, 1885. And that was probably 137 years ago. So Sri Ramakrishna, what's today? It's not the 6th, it's November 13th. Okay, November 13th. Okay, just about. So it was the night of Kali Puja. He was in Shampukur under treatment, and Sri Ramakrishna asked the devotees to make arrangement for puja in the room. So they brought flowers and garlands, and incense, sandal paste, fruits, all the kind of articles that we bring. There was no image of Divine Mother. There was just the ingredients were brought. And Sri Ramakrishna was sitting quietly, and the devotees were sitting in the room meditating. And what's happening? When is the puja? How is it going to take place? And then finally, one of the devotees takes a handful of flowers and offers them at Sri Ramakrishna's feet. And he enters into deep ecstasy, and a divine smile on his lips, and his hands assuming the gestures of granting fearlessness and boons to the devotees, as Mother Kali's two of her hands are in these same posture. So the description from the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna: an amazing transformation takes place in the Master before the very eyes of the devotees. His face shines with a heavenly light. His two hands are raised in the posture of granting boons and giving assurance to the devotees. It is the posture one sees in images of the Divine Mother. His body is motionless. He has no consciousness of the outer world. And then M asks, is the Divine Mother of the universe manifesting herself through his person? Speechless with wonder, the devotees look intently at Sri Ramakrishna, who appears to them to be the embodiment of the Divine Mother herself. So all the devotees worshipped Sri Ramakrishna's feet with the flowers, and then songs were sung late into the night, songs on Divine Mother. There's a vast number of songs dedicated to Divine Mother in the Bengali Shakta tradition, wonderful songs, many of which are translated in Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, and many others also. So they were up all night, late into the night, singing to the Divine Mother. So 4 months later, in Kashipur, Sri Ramakrishna revealed the following in this conversation. He told the devotees, there are two persons here, two persons in this. One is she. And then he paused. And the devotees are sitting around eagerly. What's he going to say? What's he saying? Yes, one is she, and the other is her devotee. It is the devotee who broke his arm, and it is the devotee who is now ill. Do you understand? Devotees don't say a word. Alas, he says, to whom shall I say all this? Who will understand? So who is Ramakrishna then? We may ask, who is Ramakrishna? At the Kali Puja in Champakur, he became so identified with Divine Mother that she manifested through him. The container had become so pure that finally only Mother remained. This last revelation, fascinating, that there are two, the Mother and her devotee. And yet, who is this devotee? This devotee is a devotee who has no eye. Because Sri Ramakrishna would say sometimes, I try to seek my eye, I try to find my eye, but it's like peeling an onion. I peel it away and there's nothing left. I don't find any eye here. It is all she. Sister Nivedita asked Swami Vivekananda, he said, I always look upon Sri Ramakrishna as an incarnation of Kali. Isn't that what the future will call him? And Swamiji himself, profoundly dedicated to Mother Kali, said, yes, I think there's no doubt that Kali worked up the body of Ramakrishna for her own ends. Swami Ramakrishnananda, Shashi, the number 3 up there, third one, he writes, Sri Ramakrishna used to think of the Divine Mother as his real mother. Just as the child is unwilling to leave the lap of its mother, so also he was loath to leave his mother. Day after day, he used to stand before the Divine Mother and get lost in divine bliss, and he knew for certain that there was no place in this world except the feet of his Divine Mother where such great bliss could be had. That is why he liked so much to take the aspirants after bliss to the feet of the Divine Mother. Oh, we've gone over. So that is what we are also, I think, all human beings, whether we are all seekers after bliss. Only most people are seeking it in the wrong places. But having come to Sri Ramakrishna, he is telling us, you want bliss, don't you? Be blissful. Where will you find that bliss? Find it at the lotus feet of the Divine Mother. Be like a honey bee and drink the nectar of the lotus feet of the Divine Mother. There's that famous song of Kamalakanta, the black bee of my mind is drawn in sheer delight to the blue lotus flower of Mother Kali's feet. Majlo amar man brahmara shama pada nil kamuli shama pada nil kamuli kali pada nil kamuli. The black bee of my mind is drawn to that bliss, that nectar of bliss, which is to be found in the lotus feet of the Mother. So, in conclusion, we can say that Sri Ramakrishna has bequeathed to us his soul-stirring love for Mother Kali, his realization of Mother as all, as everything, as shining through everything, and every heart, manifesting herself as this very universe, and yet also remaining a person whom we can approach and speak with and talk to and call upon and seek, our very own Divine Mother. Not a stepmother, she is our own mother, says Sri Ramakrishna. And he revealed himself also as a special manifestation of Mother Kali, so identified with her that it becomes difficult to see where does Ramakrishna end and Kali begin. And he has showed us this beautiful path of approaching God as Mother, a path which culminates in Ananda, in bliss, supreme and unalloyed bliss. So let us walk this path which Ramakrishna shows to us, the path of approaching the infinite source of bliss with all the sincerity and intensity we can muster. Om Sarva Mangala Mangalye Shive Sarvartha Sadhike Sharanye Trambake Gauri Narayani Namostute. O thou giver of all blessings, O thou the doer of all good, O thou the fulfiller of all desires, O thou the giver of refuge, O thou most beautiful, all-knowing one, our salutations to thee, O Mother Divine. Oh, is there time for Q&A? I bent your ears for more than an hour.
Are there one or two questions?
It's fascinating that because all three, Sri Ramakrishna, Holy Mother, and Swami Vivekananda, they're all deeply connected with Mother Kali. And Sri Ramakrishna, of course, we know how he's from this study we undertook tonight. We understand a little bit of his side. Swami Vivekananda, it's not so known, because he seems to be the apostle of Vedanta, teaching Vedanta, bringing the universal principles of Vedanta, spreading them worldwide. And that was his message. But personally, it's maybe less well known. He was utterly and completely dedicated to Mother Kali. And he said, I believe she guides me in everything I do. It is she who is making me run all over the world and do everything I do. So Swami Vivekananda also. And Ma Sarada, also very interesting. She only gives very few hints, but she also hints that she also identified herself as Mother Kali. So, as Divine Mother. So it's a very interesting to see that how the three of them, and then Swami Vivekananda had the utmost devotion for Ma Sarada. It would make Shashtanga Pranam, was terrified going to see her from Belar Mutt, going in a boat across to see her, and he kept taking a little bit of Ganges water, sipping it to purify himself. Swami Vivekananda, who was pure to the bone, and he's sipping water. He's terrified. Everybody comes to Mother and feels she's our own mother, and they feel completely loved and fearless, and she accepts everyone. And yet here's Vivekananda trembling to come before Mother. So he had more of an insight into who she really was. Most of us, she is our all-loving Mother who loves us more than our own parents do. For Swami Vivekananda, she was none other than Mother Kali. So thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to share my enthusiasm for Mother Kali and Sri Ramakrishna and the whole play of Mother and Ramakrishna and Ma Sarada and Swamiji and all that. Tomorrow, as Anandji mentioned, we'll have singing of Rama's names in a different mood, a different bhava. But it's also a wonderful thing. We do have books, don't we? For everyone to join in. Oh, we have a little book, but is it in Bengali? Well, that's not going to help many of us. Do we have a printer? I have the words on my laptop. I brought my laptop thinking, well, just in case. So now I see why. We'll print those out so everybody can sing along, even if we can't read Bengali. It's actually Sanskrit, so it properly should be written in Devanagari. So, okay, good. Thanks a lot. Now, what's our program? We have anything else?
Yeah. Do you want to mention about the box? The box.
Yeah, please, everyone come to the. Bring it here.
Also, we go to the. Do you want to mention the box?
We have some prasad.
Yes, yes. Everybody, please come to the other house and accept the prasad.
Okay, we'll have some prasad at the other place, and I can get a chance also to talk with at least some of you personally. Oma.